us and on the live stream. Thank you for joining us. This is our December meeting of the Curriculum Committee. We have a lot of guests with us today. So I will start with, of course, our board members, Ms. Gilliar and Ms. Alvarez, and our liaison, Dr. Feeney. And then going down the line, we've got Jeff Bavlin. There you go. Ms. Weinstein, Mr. Arini, Dr. Borsella, and Ms. Diaz, and of course our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Posse. Thank you all for being here. We're looking forward to this conversation today about program enhancements that are recommended for this budget season for the next school year. So without further ado, Dr. Feeney.
Great, thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody about the work we have been doing, as well as the work we hope to do in the upcoming school year. I just want to switch over to our presentation in a moment. And I'm very grateful to have my colleagues here to assist with the presentation. So, broad overview, what we're going to see today in this presentation really tries to connect all of our district priorities with the work we have been doing and plan to continue to do and expand in the year and years ahead. Some of the focus areas, those who have been to these presentations have seen us talk about the importance of, strengthening our early literacy and numeracy foundation, the coherence and consistency across all our schools, talking the middle level transition and belonging. A lot of that work started last year and has continued to expand this year. Expanding opportunities at the secondary level, providing additional on-ramps, especially for our accelerated mathematics pathways, and equitable access to rigorous learning at all levels. We'll see some of those themes as we go. Once again, our priority areas, you've seen this graphic: academic personal excellence, culture and belonging, professional learning, partnerships. That's what we're looking to emphasize in these priority areas, fit into each of these, our enhancements fit into each of these priority areas as we move forward. This is a pretty important slide. I think it gives an overview of where we are and what we're trying to build, what we are building, I should say. Those who have been to these presentations, you've heard a lot of these themes, right? The instruction that varies across schools, classrooms, grade levels. We have outstanding teachers, we have outstanding instruction, we have pockets of excellence that we want to take into a broad umbrella of excellence with shared expectations for curriculum and instruction across the district from pre-K to grade 12. Where we are right now, access to advanced coursework, it's uneven. There are certain points that determine in many ways a student's pathway to accelerate or advanced coursework. We're trying to provide less of a steep ramp initially and then more access points so students do have, depending on when they mature, when they are ready for the work, they can move to higher level courses. We've talked a lot about within our RTI, the Tier 1, Tier 2 support structures. They're uneven. It differs by building. We want to move to an in-house coaching model that strengthens instruction and supports all teachers in real time. It's this notion of real-time PD to support the implementation of high-quality research-based instruction and curriculum. Inconsistent monitoring of student growth and achievement. We've made strides, certainly, in terms of how we're using our diagnostic, and not just giving it, but how we're using it and what we're communicating about it. We've moved towards regular data meetings to review student achievement on these common assessments so that we have real information to make any adjustments as necessary to instructional strategies. Right now, and this was in our priorities, we have about a third of our 8th graders taking Algebra 1. So for 2/3, we've kind of limited advanced high school coursework opportunities for those others. So by increasing opportunities for students to take and be successful in Algebra 1 as 8th graders, that's going to help them with, arrive at advanced high school coursework. Where we are, what we're building. We're going to start with the elementary level. Pass this over. You'll do it?
I'm looking at it, yes.
Okay, but we have to advance it, so go ahead.
Okay. So we are looking to increase consistency through the you should probably actually take that one.
Oh, so for literacy, what we're doing is we're looking at the increase in consistency across not only classrooms, but schools as well, and the adoption of a common program and common instructional practices.
We're continuing our math program. We're in year 2 of implementation. And we are continuing the professional development around that and the work in building capacity and increasing student achievement in math.
So, I thought that for the next bullet, we're improving Tier 1 instruction in both math and reading, so that's for both subjects there. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So what you're looking at right here is 2 different schools, and they're 5th grade within the district. And as you can see, it's the growth for informational text. And it varies, right, by teacher and by school, the percent varies. You're looking at teacher 4, 5% of targeted growth to 27%. And again, this is based on teacher experience, right? What they have available to them and what they're using. But is what really shows a lack of a consistent approach, right? Or consistency amongst teachers, amongst classrooms, and also within schools and across schools. So that is why we're looking to adopt common practices, common program, so that we're all exposed to the same curriculum. Now, here's the difference when we put something in place for grades K to 2. We put in place phonics and phonemic awareness. So what we looked at last year were 2 schools that were using consistent programs and consistent practices, and you can see the difference in the growth when people are consistent, right? When students are exposed to the same curriculum, when they're exposed to the same instructional practices, the growth rates increase. So that's the potential of what we can be across all 6 pillars.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
These examples, this is not AIS community, this is the
General ed
general
classroom.
ed population.
General ed, we took out the, like the RISE class was not in that grouping.
Okay. Thank you.
So in the vein of talking about consistency and utilizing a program, obviously we have adopted the mathematics program from iReady, and this is an example of the type of gains that we made from fall to spring last year after utilizing our program for 1 year, first year implementation, so of course some bumps, and yet we still saw a sharp rise in students being on to mid or above grade level. The mid to above grade level is really where you want your students. So we started out in the fall at 11% and we moved up to 48%. And if you look at collectively just kind of the green, if you will, as a visual, you'll see that we're nearing 70% at the end of the year, as opposed to 30% at the beginning. So this consistent use, even in an implementation year 1, it shows just how we can create growth and effectively influence students' understanding in mathematics.
And I know Ms. Diaz talked about the green. I love pointing out the red. So the fall, we had, the red represents either 2 grades below or 3 or more grades below. We had 18% of the kids in the fall, 2 or more grades below level, and that was reduced to 8% by the end of the year. So, you know, that's important. You do that for a few years, and those kids who were 3 grades or more below, all of a sudden they're at grade level, and that's what the research has shown.
And, oh, thank you. Beth was pointing out, this would include anyone who took it. So that does include any students with disabilities or any other groups of students that take it that may not have been represented in previous slides.
Right. Just about every student takes the diagnostic.
Do you want to?
So in terms of what we're going to do to strengthen instruction, a proposed enhancement, and you've heard us speak about these in some of our presentations, instructional coaches at each elementary school. So one instructional coach for each elementary, so a total of 5. They would work full-time with teachers. They wouldn't have a student roster. They provide targeted Tier 2 push-ins, some AIS support when needed. Having these instructional coaches, a model that's used in many districts very successfully, it's going to help us as we're shifting in mathematics and as we shift in literacy. Our shift in literacy, when we get that new program adopted, it's going to require a lot of support. We did that in mathematics. We're continuing to do it in mathematics. We'll need to do it in literacy, and instructional coaches can do that work. Teachers will benefit from in-building coaching for the implementation of the ongoing implementation of iReady, for small group instruction, and the new literacy. So our current professional development, which is, you know, still very robust, that's never enough in terms of the daily classroom practice, really looking in real time at what can I do for this student, how can I help these groups, and what can a Tier 2 instructional model look like in my classroom. So why one coach per building? Well, we've got some in-district talent that can do this work. We won't need to pay for the outside specialists the way we've needed to, and being able to support both the numeracy and the literacy would be important. So that's a proposed enhancement. So all of these things at the elementary level, looking at that from consistent instruction, stronger skills, reduced intervention, engaging experiences, that's going to lead to improved student outcomes. At the middle school level, Ms. Javelin.
So we were looking last year to look at our transition program and how do we make a better transition for 5th grades to 6th grade. So some of the things that I'm actually jumping a slide, sorry. The enhancements that we've looked at this year are to create a smooth and more predictable transition from 5th to 6th grade, to improve student organization, belonging, and academic competence, to create additional common experience across the teams and throughout the building, and to address structural pain points that hinder readiness for high school. So we had we did 2 parent groups last year that were held in the winter. And the feedback that we got from parents, or I should say this was the negative feedback that we got from parents for us to, the pieces that we wanted to focus on and look at was variations in instructional practice expectations across the elementary schools, limited alignment in grading, assessment pace, and homework amongst the teams and houses, differences in students' independence and executive functioning readiness, uneven communication between home and school, the need for more executive function support, and the inconsistency experience amongst the Weber houses and/or teams. So some of the things that we've worked on this year to address some of those issues. Teachers from grades 5 and 6 participated in cross-grade visitations to understand the expectations and instruction practices, as well as to understand what an elementary school student looks like, because they are different than a 6th grade student, and we expect them to grow very quickly. So it was very eye-opening for my 6th grade teachers to actually see that. understand that they're coming from one teacher, what does that look like to go to 9 teachers? So that was the beginning of a lot of our conversations, is how do we really make sure that 6th graders are ready? We've increased parent communication. All 6th grade teams send out weekly curriculum news and notes, so parents know exactly what's going on in the classrooms for the week. So it's the subjects that we cover is math, science, English, social studies, and core extension, so parents could actually see exactly what's happening in those 5 classes within, for their child. All 6th grade teachers developed a testing schedule for the first 2 months of school, just to help them with their transition. So with the World Language Department and Math, Science, English, Social Studies, we worked out to make sure that students didn't have more than 1 test or quiz in the same day. We worked on an executive functioning, lessons to give to our students, and that's being delivered in core extension, and it's also integrated into all of our classes. So some of the things that they're focusing on is time management, study skills, goal setting, how to use their digital classrooms, very different than having 1 teacher versus having 9 teachers, and where to find things. So part of what we did with the elementary alignment, all elementary schools implemented a 5th grade departmentalization to help students with their transition to middle school and to experience class change in a building that they're comfortable in already. Weber assistant principals met with 5th grade students for a question and answer. And then each elementary school this year hosted a question and answer led by their alumni students that are currently in 6th grade to support the transition for the 5th graders and to hear student voice, so the 5th graders could actually hear from students how they felt about school. Then we moved on to work on communication and belonging, and what are some things that we could do to increase that. So this year we improved the use of progress reports, newsletters, and team-based communication. All teachers were asked to make sure they write a comment about every single student in both progress report and report cards. So this way parents feel and see that we do care about their children and that you do have some feedback on how your child's doing in their classes. We have newsletters going out amongst the 6th grade and the 7th grade. The 8th grade, we chose not to do the newsletters, more so because now we're gonna try to start transitioning them to the high school, and they don't do newsletters that way at the high school, so we're just doing communication from teachers individually in 8th grade. We've also included a social media reel that comes out every Friday. We missed a few weeks due to other circumstances, but today we are back, so it's very exciting. And that's really student voice. We ask the students one simple question, and they respond on the spot about what they feel or what they're thinking. So you really get a glimpse into what students feel at Weber, as well as the silliness of the students in Weber. And there's some silliness, and you'll see in today's video, there's some high-fiving and, the kids screaming, which classes they like and which teachers are their favorites and things like that. So it's just a cute way for parents as well as us to see in the eyes of a student what they're feeling and seeing in school. We are doing parent visits are scheduled at each grade level. I've asked that each team come up with an activity where they invite parents into the school. So that's gonna happen in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Some have started already. They will be different activities that teachers ask parents to come in, but at least one event that they will come into. 6th grade teams are conducting team building activities. So we came up with 4 different activities that we wanted them to do, whether it's the beginning of the year or throughout the year, to make sure that students are meeting each other on the team and doing some team building activities. We've expanded our recess activities. We now have a lot of variety of activities where students could go to. Some are structured, some are unstructured. So we have outdoor recess. We have the library where students can do work. We have a lounge where it's games. Students could do that. And we have organized sports. So in addition to that, a lot of our teachers also open their classrooms for extra help or for students to chill. So there's lots of options for students at lunchtime now. And future steps are going to include some student roundtables. So for me to meet with some students to hear how they feel and what they're thinking for some feedback, and we will be doing a new thought exchange to measure some of the stuff that we're doing. So some of the things that are on the radar for future study are how do we improve the consistency and experiences for students, for example, field trips or research projects across all the houses, to review the student elective opportunity, the process to identify double skip students, and the grouping of students within the house structure.
Sorry, what does that mean? The grouping of students within the house structure?
Would you like to share on that?
So some of the concerns that came through both with the thought exchange as well as some of the study groups were questions such as, can students change houses from one year to another? In other words, we mix up rather than stay in one house with the same group throughout. Can they change from one house and you mix it up and so they all go to a different house? So recombine them each year, that's one of the questions. The other thing, focus more on teams rather than houses, that way you have that small group. So those were just some of the questions, and we'll look in to see what might be viable and what might work, or if our current structure is the best one.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to world language. So over the years, we've been watching our Latin numbers, and unfortunately, our Latin numbers keep decreasing. So the decision had to be made, what do we do with Latin? Do we keep it, do we not keep it? So in addition, our current Latin teacher is retiring this year, so finding another Latin teacher may be challenging and it may not be an option for us. So we have decided that we are going to not continue Latin for the current fifth grade students. The plan is to keep Latin instruction through the high school for the current students that are enrolled. And here's just a chart to show you that we've had a 56% decrease in enrollment with all the efforts of things that we've done. The high school students have come down to each elementary school and have done presentations. The middle school students have come down to do presentations. We've done toga parties, we've done other events to try to help build up the numbers for Latin, and we're just not getting the numbers that we need to get to run the class.
Is that total enrolled? So like Latin 18 total enrolled?
Correct.
So these are the 25-26 is the current number of students in the program. So you can see, like in 2022 to 23, we had 30 students, which were down now to 18. And the enrollment keeps, the last 2 years, we've been really around the.
Once they're in the program, they stay, right? So the 32 in 22-23 became 32 in the 7th grade, 32 in the 8th grade. The current 18 started with 20 back in the 6th grade, if you're going down diagonal.
And that's usually of a student that moved.
Is there not potential that this is a bubble year? Because like, if you look at Latin 8, the other years, you have those 30, 27, 32. Is this not just a potential bubble year next year incoming? Because I could have sworn I saw like heavy something pushed in the elementary schools for 5th grade Latin. I don't know if it was just Guggenheim, but like.
No, that may have been the.
That was something that we
The
were.
promotion of the 5th grade, I guess, like a toga party kind of thing, but a way to promote the
increase-
Latin, to increase the enrollment.
So why not review the numbers next year based on like this new focus of a push instead of elimination?
We've always pushed every
It's
year.
been a push, but
That's
what's
not
also,
something new.
what's also
Did
precipitating
not take
this,
Latin, I'm not.
what's
not
also
here.
precipitating this is the retirement of the
Yeah, and
teacher, those two things.
For me, that doesn't always dictate how I make decisions, but I understand like how this would be like a very unique year to make that decisions. I'm just saying like overall, it just looks like this year's numbers are like gloomy, but there was strong numbers. I don't know if this is strong enough. If other districts, there's 75 kids enrolled, it's just like a Port Washington thing. Or we all know Latin's the dead language, right? Like it's a dying language. So like, is this an overall, universal trend of it's going? And
You
That's
have
fine.
14 kids out of roughly 400 taking Latin. We have 2 other languages offered.
3.
3 other languages offered. All of our languages right now are Romance languages. And, the thinking also is that Latin, certainly at the high school level, could remain as they enter. Certainly, we're going to support these kids through the normal sequence, but when the current sixth graders become ninth graders, that's the last feeder class, if you will, for that Latin course up at the high school. And then that becomes a focus on, okay, let's turn Latin into a possibility for a second language for students. So you keep it at the high school. And then is there another language offering that we may want to consider in the middle school? But these are plans, but, yeah.
So what this means for students is hopefully smoother transitions, clearer expectations, and stronger relationships, and then predictable pathways or many options for pathways for students. On to the best subject, just kidding. Those of you that don't know, I was a math teacher. So we were looking at how do we ensure that students have the time they need to build deep mathematical understanding, address longstanding inconsistencies in acceleration and course pathways, remove unnecessary gateways, gatekeeping practices, and create a fairer system that still allows access to advanced math. So why revise math sequencing? So currently, students in Algebra 1 in 8th grade take the course that includes the Math 7. So in 6th grade, they go to the Math 7A program, they go automatically into Algebra 1. What we've been hearing is that the Math 7 acceleration model can cause a lot of stress and that it's a really hard course. But not necessarily hard, like, it's rigorous, but does it need to be that hard for students? We have been looking at a redesign of sequence that leads to Algebra 1 to ensure developmentally appropriate pacing and accessibility to the curriculum for more students. So we are planning on expanding access to Algebra 1 in 8th grade, increasing the number of students who can participate in more advanced coursework at the high school level. So, our current model, which I kind of went through, was at the end of 8th grade, we currently give a test to, and there's a matrix to determine whether a 6th grader is ready, the end of 6th grader is ready to go into an accelerated Math 7 course. Over the 2 years we teach, over 1 year we teach 2 years of material, Math 7 and Math 8, which is a lot of work for students, and then that class leads to an Algebra 1 class in 8th grade. The non-accelerated students take a Math 7 that follows the New York State standards, and then if those students receive A+ for the first 3 quarters, they are invited to take a placement test to see if they could go into Algebra 1 in 8th grade. The potential plan that we are looking at for next year is that accelerating decisions will still stay at the end of the 8th grade, but we are going to use, end of 6th grade, I apologize, that we're gonna use the current grades that they're getting in their 6th grade coursework and then use common assessments, such as the iReady, the midterm, and the final, which are all common assessments. Accelerated students will take a combination Math 7 course, but it's only gonna be a year and a half. We are moving topics around within the 7th and 8th grade program to make sure the program is less material, so it'll be more attainable for more students. Students not in the Math 7-8 course will continue with the Math 7 course, and there will be algebra on-ramps for those students, whether they're in 8th grade or when they get to the high school. The impact, it's a clearer developmental appropriate pathway. The accelerated Math 7-8 coursework will not be as steep as the current model, but will still prepare students for the restructured Algebra 1 course that will be in 8th grade. And the removal of separate assessments to enter the course will open pathways for more students.
Questions now or at the end?
If you have a few now, we can take some.
Just probably a straightforward question. what happens to the other half of the 8th grade material? Is that in
It's gonna be
Algebra 1?
it's gonna be a combination of Algebra 1 and 8th grade math.
So the acceleration then will be like a year and a half of math in 7th and a year and a half
Roughly.
of math in 8th?
Right, but the topics we're moving they align with what we're teaching in Algebra 1. So where now we do a review of it, we're just gonna teach it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of, right, like it kind of works with the curriculum.
Okay, so actually, I think you've already given me my answer to my second question, which was gonna be, why not a year and a half in 6th and a year and a half in 7th? It sounds like it's because the curriculum aligns in a way that makes sense to do it like this.
We also, I mean, I'll give you my personal opinion, we've been in iReady for 2 years. We've seen a lot of growth. I'd like to go through a 3rd year of it where students are really growing, because we've seen growth, and get students really ready so they can master the material and do well. And then we will reevaluate next year if how we're doing it is right, or if we need to move and expand more into 6th grade or not.
That's great. I mean, I think it's amazing that
So
there's any
reflective.
restructuring happening at all, because I think everybody's known for a very long time that no matter how bright or ready a kid seems, the way we're structured, that 7th grade acceleration course was getting hit by a train.
We've heard
And
that
it's a
from
need to be.
high school math students saying that's one of the most challenging math classes
They
they've
still
had.
say, all the way through high school, that was the hardest math class.
It doesn't need to be.
Right,
It doesn't need to be. It should be accessible so that kids who demonstrate potential for mathematics can get onto that on-ramp this way. If they choose to study to the AP Calculus level, they have access to that course.
that's great.
So this change is really designed to make the course more accessible for kids. It's still gonna be challenging because it's still a year and a half of content in 1 year.
But if you look at it, you think a ramp, the ramp is going from, a very steep ramp to not as steep of a ramp. It's still a ramp and it's still steep, but there's a big difference. And, the gate that we had on that ramp, the access ramp before in terms of that, the placement exam is gone. So we removed that gate and have a less steep ramp, and that should increase the number of students who are able to access the course.
And it sounds like also meanwhile with iReady, we're making sure they're prepared to go onto that ramp in the first place
With
too.
that consistent implementation, it's helping.
That's great.
You want me to do this, or you want to do this one?
So in terms of the placement exam changes, as Javelin talked about, that 6th grade Math 7 acceleration placement exam being eliminated. We are also looking into the 9th grade honors biology placement exam, as well as the Earth and Space Sciences placement exam. Some of these placement exams, the honors biology is, scheduled to take place within a month or so. So it may happen this year, but we are going to look to reevaluate if we're getting what we think we're getting out of that placement exam, and if we can reconsider access to that honors biology course. So why these changes? This early high stakes testing really doesn't align with what we're developing in terms of our MTSS model. Outside of this work, we can base our decisions. We test these kids. They have, through 8th grade, they're taking the iReady diagnostic 3 times a year. We're getting some common grades, common assessments, course grades, midterm exams. And really the hope is to just make it a fairer, reduce unnecessary pressure, and open up these opportunities for more kids. So some of these revised, said this earlier, some of the outcomes. This lines up very well with the district priority regarding academic and personal excellence. By opening up that advanced coursework, earlier on, making that more accessible. We'll have kids who are able to, reach those higher levels at the high school, which should help them as they think beyond Schreiber in terms of college and career. So we've got a little graphic of what that looks like for students now in terms of the placement, right? Grade 6, good strong foundation, continue on with the iReady serving as a foundation. It's the end of 6th grade where you have a placement decision. Some kids will be ready for that Math 7-8, where you've got all the Math 7 topics, half of the Math 8 ones. Others will go into the Math 7, where you just focus on the Math 7. But there will be pathways, even after Math 7. There will be a pathway for some students who may want to make that diagonal jump the following year into Algebra 1. Some of the students who took Math 7-8 may need to just focus in on Math 8 the following year. So we're just trying to make sure that there are multiple on-ramps for all of our students. They don't get stuck in one track, starting at the end of 6th grade. So to begin with the high school, Dr. Weinstein will talk a little bit about some of the enhancements at the high school level. She'll be joined with Mr. Arini.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. So at Schreiber, we always strive for excellence. And one of the ways we are doing that is, thank you, is through the work of the Schreiber Curriculum Committee. The committee's work is preceded by the work of Dr. Baer, high school administration, directors, and chairpeople. As you heard from Dr. Baer's data presentation, there's a careful analysis of the data which identifies strengths, areas of growth, and recommendations to improve student outcomes. From these discussions, new courses are developed, current ones may be revised or removed to leverage students' interests and needs. Each proposed course is anchored to Port Washington's vision, mission, and portrait of a graduate. Proposals show how the course aligns to Schreiber's educational philosophy and the department's pre-existing program and/or need. The courses are reviewed at the building level meeting that includes administrators and members of the high school faculty from various departments. At the conclusion of the meeting, new courses are recommended for consideration to be added to the program planning guide. Schreiber's variety of courses provide students with broad and deep opportunities to explore areas that they may not have considered before, prior to entering a post-secondary experience such as college, vocational schools, the military, or the world of work. As student interest shifts to meet modern demands, so must our course offerings. At the high school, more than at any other level, students tell us the courses that they are most interested in and the ones that they don't like through their course requests. While a new course might be offered and proposed, it needs to meet the requirements to run during the following school year. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of a walk through the courses that are being proposed for this, proposed now to be run during the 26-27 school year. So one of the first courses I'm going to be speaking about is through the English department, and it is AP Seminar. This will be offered as an elective course to students in grades 9 through 12. The course enhances opportunities in the humanities. This AP course differs from the traditional AP courses. Students who are ready for this challenge will build research skills, interpersonal skills through individual and group assignments. And this course is very similar to the AP computer science courses, where students will complete part of their assessments beyond the confines of the traditional test environment. So students will spend the year working on a portion of this, but then for this course, they will also have an exam in May during AP exam week.
So as we continue to strengthen and advance our academic pathways, we want to take a moment to highlight the AP Capstone program. Some of you may be familiar with the program, but for those that are not, I'm going to take just a moment to discuss it. Dr. Weinstein introduced the AP Seminar course a moment ago, which is the first course in the AP Capstone sequence. AP Capstone itself consists of two courses, AP Capstone and AP Research, and together they form a rigorous program based on building student skills in inquiry, research, critical thinking, collaboration, communication. And the course, the AP Capstone program is really designed to help provide students with fundamental skills that can be applied across all disciplines and all college preparatory courses. my apologies. So with the addition of the AP courses and exams, the students can earn an AP diploma or certificate recognition from the College Board. So we're beginning with AP Seminar for next year, and we'll continue to explore the potential for AP research as we learn from students' needs and students' experiences and the overall program, the overall interest in the program.
And if I can interject, I just want to point out that AP Research, of course, that's a college board course, right? That is different than the research program that we offer at Schreiber, a different level. The AP Research is far more accessible than the research program we have built in. So this wouldn't, supplant our current research program, but rather supplement it and give students who are not in that research program an opportunity to do a lengthy academic paper over the course of X number of months, over the course of the time. And I also want to add in, though, this is the AP Seminar course is housed right now in the English department. It really is a across discipline course, and students who have more of an affinity for social studies, you have an opportunity to do research in that area, even though it's within English. You don't have to only study English topics at all. It's a broad opportunity to do something of interest to you.
So the other exciting thing is that this, as Mr. Arini was saying, this leads to another diploma type in terms of the AP capstone, the AP capstone certificate, another certificate type. So a student could choose to do AP Seminar and stop there, or they could take AP Seminar in year one, then take AP Research. If they take 4 more AP courses and the corresponding exams, they would have earned the AP capstone diploma. So that's an exciting opportunity. AP capstone's been around since about 2014. So there are models throughout the island that we can learn from in terms of ways to ensure that the program is successful. But AP Seminar, I think many students find to be an accessible course as a first AP opportunity for them, and also a very exciting course because unlike the other AP courses, it is student-driven in terms of your own interests and research opportunities. So this is a very exciting addition.
It's the only edition at the moment being recommended, so the AP Research does not exist and is not being recommended at this time?
Correct.
So that would be a next year discussion based on
Correct.
enrollment?
Correct. And interest. Yep.
This AP Seminar would be an elective.
Correct.
And it's in the English department. Did I miss why?
That is where it does, in a lot of schools, it does fit in the English department. And for some schools, they've actually used that to replace the honors level course in the English department. That's not the model I followed in my previous district. That's not the model we're following here. It usually houses in a department, so English is perfectly fine. But my comments about it's really driven, as Dr. Pasi said, by student interest. If you don't really want to study English per se and have more of an affinity towards, something psychology or social science, you can do that sort of research within the seminar course.
But it will be staffed by English teachers.
At this point, the initial training will be by English teachers. In my previous district, our initial training was actually social studies and science. As we grew the program, we brought in English teachers as well. So we really had 3 different departments owning the course, social studies, science, as well as English.
So long-term, it could morph and look a little different.
Correct.
Depending upon.
It could also be offered in multiple departments, based on a student's interest. We
Right,
we
we're
have
big
social
enough.
studies.
Yeah, we're big enough at Schreiber to have, one focus. If you just want English area, then here. If you want one focused in social studies, there. So it depends, we have to see how it looks. We haven't offered it yet.
Almost like the senior experience is what I'm hearing, like if you wind up with,
Possibly,
like,
yeah.
you pick a lane of a senior experience based on an interest.
Yeah, that's one way to think about it.
Okay.
I mean,
Dylan,
it sounds like the flip side of that is the reason that you're not recommending it replace ninth grade honors English is because it is so interdisciplinary that it really doesn't replace an English class.
It takes on a different, for me, the benefit of the course is learning to do the research, the synthesis, working with others, those presentations, not necessarily, not against books and reading and studying literature, but, you know, you lose it.
You teach math.
So, wow. I don't know what to say. So, yeah, it's, those skills aren't necessarily English-specific skills.
I mean, it sounds to me like actually that's having respect for English as class because we're saying
Correct.
reading books, writing essays, doing literary analysis is still valuable and totally different. You can have somebody pick a project like that, but they're not necessarily doing that.
I think what I'd ask you to do is just repeat that about how my position is really respectful of English, despite being a mathematics teacher, right? Can we do
I'm getting a
that?
holiday credit.
You've said that at this table that, you know, it's math.
Literacy is key. So, okay.
All right, so now we're gonna take a look at our math adjustments and courses, and it really is going to pair really nicely with the work that Ms. Dravelin is doing at the middle school to really support students for those on-ramps for acceleration. Excuse me. So this is only a partial part of the overall math flow chart. It really is focusing on the students who will be taking that Math 8 course. So it's not the students who will be taking Algebra 1 at the middle school, it's the students who did not accelerate at all at the middle school.
Simply because those who are in Algebra 1 in 8th grade, it's a pretty clear, direct path if they want to take AP Calculus, AP Statistics. The concern has always been, what if you don't take that and you take Math 8 in 8th grade? So we want to look at the different pathways.
So broadly, if we look at the two different pathways, there's on the left side is the opportunity for students to have the on-ramp to AP Calculus by the end of senior year through a very similar to that 7-8 math class or that Math 8 Algebra 1 math class in 8th grade. This is a very similar approach where it's that year and a half in 1 year of Algebra 2 and pre-calculus, and then in 12th grade pre-calculus, and then preparing them to take that calculus AB class at the end of senior year. The other side of this flowchart is also supporting our students who are continuing to show signs of struggling in math. So right now we do have a course called Pre-Algebra at the high school, and that was working with Ms. Javelin and the team at Weber to really identify students who are still continuously showing the gaps in the math, that we want to give them more opportunity for that basic work and the basic skills to prepare them. So and this is where you can see the committee's work to revise the courses because we want students to understand what they're working towards. So if a student is showing signs through their iReady data, through their assessments in their classroom, from 8th grade, they are going to be potentially recommended for Foundations of Algebra 1. And this is to really give them more time to prepare themselves for that Algebra 1 Regents, because that Algebra 1 Regents does meet the requirements for a Regents diploma. And then we continue building in if we see students still struggling and need more time with the advanced math work, we have also built in the Foundations of Geometry. So again, I'm just gonna go over these two separate pathways a little bit more specifically. And we'll talk about the Foundations of Algebra 1. And again, this very specifically works on reviewing the multiple data points that we are receiving from the middle school, but then also what we are collecting at the high school for the Foundations of Geometry course. And the whole purpose of this is to prepare students to be able to get the on-ramps to Algebra 1. And then if successful and we've really closed their academic gap in math, after Algebra 1 in 10th grade, if they're showing that they're ready for geometry, they're going right into that pathway towards that Advanced Regents diploma, where they can then take geometry and then Algebra 2 by the time they graduate. So they are still getting that advanced math. They might not necessarily be on the pathway for AP Calculus, however, those students are reaching their excellence in where they are. And again, we always want to look at students individually, and having these multiple on-ramps really does allow us to have more of that individualized lens beyond just a student who might have a disability or a student who might be receiving, language acquisition skills. It helps us mitigate that and really provide more individualized attention for our students. And then the two other courses, the Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus, as well as a Pre-Calculus, AP Calculus AB, does very similar, but these are the students who are not ready for acceleration at the middle school. This is their on-ramp to get to the AP Calculus AB class. One of the things that I can say I've noticed, having seniors this year, a lot of my students took the opportunity over the summer to take programs outside of Schreiber to be able to get to the Calculus AB class, because they couldn't advance from Weber. They were not accelerated from Weber at that point, so they took it on their own to take this. We are now providing more access to students who might not have the economic means to be able to get that acceleration. So we're actually creating more opportunities for those students and any student who might now find a passion for math that maybe they didn't have because they're late bloomers and their maturity and their academics wasn't necessarily there.
That's the most important part here. This acknowledges that kids demonstrate readiness at different times. And so if you demonstrate readiness for advanced math in 7th grade, there's an on-ramp for you. But if you demonstrate readiness for advanced math after 7th grade, there's an additional on-ramp in grade 11, which at that point, kids are starting to think about potential colleges, the types of programs they want to apply to. And there are certain STEM-based programs where you would really benefit from being in an advanced placement calculus course. And so this provides more equitable opportunities for all kids to access that through the existing public school structure, rather than having to seek outside work. So I just wanted to underscore that point because I think it's so important to what we're trying to do here in terms of increased opportunities for kids to challenge themselves when they demonstrate readiness.
And I would like to also add on, Schreiber has had a course for kids coming out of Algebra 2 in 11th grade to take a combined pre-calc and AP Calculus course. And that was in existence for quite some time. When we reviewed the results of that course, we were finding that students who were in that course were not successful at all in the AP exam. So the course, although billed as one preparing you for the AP exam, it was failing our kids. So that course became a dual enrollment course this year. We looked at the data and really planned out a different way to make sure that those kids coming out of Algebra 2, in this case we chose geometry and chose to combine the 3 years in 2. So similar to what's happening in the middle school, still a steep ramp, just not as steep as it was. Rather than try to do 2 years in one of those years being an AP Calculus year, we're doing 3 years over the course of 2. So not as steep, and we're expecting it to be far more successful as we rework those curriculum.
And so the last math class that is being revised this year is our topics in pre-calculus and differential calculus. So this course has already been in existence. This course is typically taken by students who have completed Math 10 honors and do not want to continue on through the Math 11 honors program, because the Math 11 honors program goes towards Calculus BC, where this topics course does go towards the Calculus AB. What we've done with this course is provide students opportunities to challenge themselves through college readiness by making this a dual enrollment program. We are So, and this is a program and a course offered through, I believe it's LIU Post. So as you can see in math, our goal is for students to be given success and be provided the right levels of support so they have that multitude of on-ramps to be able to accelerate at their pace. So whether if they were starting out on foundations of Algebra 1 in ninth grade, they can get their way to Algebra 2. But if they went Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, there is avenues for them to get to the Calculus AP. So it's providing that opportunity for them to get where they want to go and what they can do.
Can I jump in with a question? So, again, this is fantastic. I think it's really important so that it sort of normalizes that you can have multiple different paths, because that's the right path for you, right? I have overheard, or had, kids who were in my car for various reasons say to me that like, when you accelerate late in math, it's embarrassing, right? Because then they're in the honors class with the younger kids. It's so embarrassing, it's so embarrassing, it's so embarrassing. They're like withstanding this. Is there any thought about that and like how to market this to the kids to understand that it's not that you have this great big late bloomer sign on your forehead, right? That it's just like, this is the path was right for you. You didn't go on then because you didn't want to do it. Maybe math wasn't your thing. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe you weren't identified, right? Is there any thought on that, on like how to explain this to the kids when they're doing their course selection?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I appreciate that. I think that as a counseling team and as well with our administration and teachers, we need to first and foremost be as informative and transparent as possible with our students and our parents. So they need to be able to visualize these pathways. They need to see them early on so that they know that in a few years from now, here are the options. We want to start with the end in mind when we program our students, so we always try to discuss with our students their long-term goals and work backwards, right? And for them to see these different pathways and let them visualize it, they'll not only be aware that there's multiple on-ramps, they'll know that they're not the only ones that are taking that on-ramp, but also that it will hopefully help normalize these discussions. So it starts in the classroom, it's followed up with the counselor, and then reiterated at home. So we'll be having a lot of discussions like that, both with our middle school team and our high school team, to make sure we get this information out there as directly as possible.
I also want to point out that as we've got in the back of our head some other pathways as well, so, I've got to have something to present next year. But the point being that as we communicate that, if your destination, for example, is AP Calculus, there are multiple ways to get there. It reduces the pressure coming out of sixth grade. For a parent or a child to say, if I don't accelerate now, I'll never make it. So, clearly the counselors, the teachers speaking to the students, but also making sure we're communicating to the parents that, we will have different on-ramps depending on when your child is ready for it.
One other question. I know, I think it's not explicitly on here, but in each of these, we have like a 10H, 11H, and the H classes are covering more material. So typically a hurdle for a student who feels they want to switch from the regular track to the H track, if they've accelerated or not accelerated, either way, is that when you do it in a later year, you've missed some of the material because it was done at the end of the previous year. Are you having any conversations about like how to support that?
This is such a good question, and it just speaks to the importance of being able to truly look, especially at the secondary level, the coherence of our mathematics program. We've given you a glimpse with our two flow charts of portions of it, but at the high school level, it is a vast flow chart in terms of the possibilities, and I think it is crucial that at every possibility, you've got on-ramps. If you need to go in a different way, you can do that. It's not going to be overwhelming. You're not going to be penalized, whatever it might be. And having, an opportunity for, one person to really focus in on that math, especially the 6 through 12, that secondary level, working with the middle school and the high school to develop that coherence. I think that's a great opportunity.
The opportunity I just gave you for your PSA for
So,
instructional coaches.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to get back to the presentation. Let's see what's in the slides ahead.
That's a great question. This is why you should fund what I would like to do.
What? What are you talking about? This is all new to me. I'm just seeing this.
So in our music department, we have 2 new choir courses that I'm going to take a moment to discuss. Over the course of the last 4 years, we've had significant increased enrollment in our choral ensembles. Our current choir teacher has just done an absolutely remarkable job supporting the growth of our program. And every year our music department has been recognized as one of the best in the nation. We have a lot to be proud of, and the teacher's done a fantastic job supporting the growth. Our current numbers continue to grow, and it helps support an expansion of our choral program, which will allow both treble choir, which will be for 9th grade treble voices, and also our audition-based chamber choir for grades 10 through 12. In our science department, we have updated our curricular materials and prepared for the revised Regents examinations in biology and earth and space sciences. We are continuing to work by updating our chemistry and physics curricula to align with New York State learning standards. So these updates are just to better align with the changes that have come down from the state and to ensure that our students are meeting those standards.
So the curriculum committee over the last 3 years now, 4 years that I've been here working with them, we've seen a huge growth in our communication and media arts program. And this is really, when I spoke at the beginning of talking about the high school courses, this is a prime example of preparing students for future work readiness skills, as well as really pushing students to areas of interest. This course is a 4th course that students would have the opportunity through the lens of our podcasting, broadcasting, Schreiber News Network. This course continues to enhance those opportunities for our students. I know we have all seen the incredible and remarkable work of those programs, so this course, the Advanced Podcasting and Media Production, we were missing, one course that really helps unify that sequence. And then one of the things that we've been doing with the team of teachers who work with this program is to really start building that pathway for students who are interested in this. So how does this also work with our journalism class? How does this work with some of our classes offered in the arts department as we are heading towards the new graduation pathways? We are building it as we don't even know what the plan looks like yet. As the state is still organizing those pathways, we're already getting ready for this program. So this course just enhances that program and prepares our students for the work that they are doing. And within technology, and this is a department I can proudly say that I am the chairperson, AP liaison for, and the community has been so wonderful and generous to the technology department with all of the new wing and all of the new pieces of equipment that our students are using. One of the things that we are noticing is that we really do have to keep up with the ever-changing paces within this world, whether it's engineering, architecture, the automotive program that we have. So these courses, we really do I sit with the department and I really do evaluate, are students interested in these courses? So We are actually eliminating some courses because we have not seen the student interest, and we are reimagining some of those courses and offering new courses. So recently, we offered woodworking for the first time in many, many years. We saw a huge increase in student requesting that. So now we're taking it to that next step and offering a computer-based woodworking class. And then one of the things that working with our teacher who teaches architecture, just seeing our students wanting to have new and different experiences, reimagining our architecture 2 and 3 program to the 2H program, and as where they're really going to enhance the work they're doing, and then now making architecture 3H that senior experience opportunity, because we do have partnerships in our community already with our architectural firms. So this is just really codifying things that are already happening and allowing students to have more opportunity there. And then within world language classes, we are also doing the same. So right now we have a Spanish, this year we are unifying Spanish 2A and 2B with the intention of really creating clear opportunities for students to get to the honors and or advanced language courses that we offer. What this does is it prepares them for students to take the 3H course or the 3R course in 10th grade, and allows them sooner opportunity to take the FLAX Checkpoint B, which heads towards the Advanced Regents Diploma. But with that, I'm gonna quickly go to the next slide. We are now gonna offer a secondary class for students who might take Spanish 3R, not ready yet for the pathway towards AP, but giving them an opportunity to get to the Advanced Spanish Communications course. So we're creating another opportunity for students to continue with the 4-year languages at high school to prepare them to be college ready, as well as really build that language acquisition skills. So these two classes really do help it within world language, really do help students prepare for that college level work that we know that they're interested in. So just in general, overall, the courses proposed really focus on expanding opportunities for our students as they explore their areas of interest. Through the multiple on-ramps, we have offered students broader access to Excel and offer additional supports for students who might need that help. So it's really a way to continue expanding on all of those opportunities for our students.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Weinstein, thank you, Mr. Arini. With some of these enhancements discussed, there are some staffing implications that are also some of the enhancements we're looking for as well, to help ensure that coherence in mathematics, which I hear some board members feel is a good idea. We'd be looking for a pre-K through 12 director of mathematics. You know, we have our director of elementary curriculum, and Ms. Diaz has done a fantastic job, focused in especially on iReady, but also collaborating with our administrator for literacy, Dr. Borsella. But it hasn't really been a secondary attention the way we've been able to put that attention at the middle school, at the elementary school. So a pre-K through 12 director of mathematics would help unify all that great work at the elementary level with the work being done in the middle as well as the high school level. Helping with the acceleration taking place in the middle school, the on-ramps that we're putting in, the professional needs at both of those levels. So having that leader responsible to ensure the curriculum coherence and the program alliance across our schools is really important. So we envision that position, you know, certainly coordinating with our elementary level mathematics, but really focusing in especially at the secondary level, both the middle school and the high school. And that person would support the instructional coaches that are being, you know, asked for at the elementary level, as well as some additional positions. As we have asked for instructional coaches at the elementary level, we're looking for instructional coaches at the secondary level. as great as a director of mathematics, pre-K through 12 would be, there's a lot of value to having a point person at the buildings to work with teachers real time and address and do some modeling and professional development. So we have chairs. We have a chair of mathematics at the high school who has release time. That position includes release time as well as a stipend. At the middle school, there's no release time, but the position includes a stipend. We would eliminate those stipend at the middle school and the stipend as well as the position at the high school. And instead put in place a secondary mathematics coach, instructional coach, 6 through 12. That person would have release time at the high school. So there would still be that FT needed up at the high school, but that release time would encompass work, instructional work both at the high school as well as the middle school. The administrative responsibilities, such as observations, the supervisory responsibilities would go on to the director of mathematics, but that instructional coach would certainly model effective instruction, support that daily planning, help teachers differentiate, and lead the coaching cycles that would take place. So not a supervisor, but would report to the pre-K-12 director of mathematics. And our hope would be there would, by removing the administrative responsibilities, we could have a greater focus on the instructional needs of the mathematics teachers at the secondary level with this position. So, you know, the staffing proposals, we talked about the elementary instructional coaches, the director of mathematics, and then the secondary math coach. You know, all of that is a way of building capacity to support these enhancements. There are a lot of shifts taking place. There's a lot of professional development that needs to be done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, K-12. And you need a structure to be able to support that and sustain it. And our hope is, the expectation is with these staffing changes, we'll be able to sustain all these program enhancements that we're that we've been talking about. And not just talking, that we've been doing, right? This is work that we have been doing for years. So as we wrap this up, right, just looking across pre-K through 12, what we're talking about, the work we're doing, it reflects a clear direction. You know, I've talked about the importance of strengthening early instruction, improving our transitions, clarifying our pathways, and building aligned support structures. By doing these things, we're going to address some of the long-standing inconsistencies that have been affecting student experiences and access. So these enhancements that we're presenting, really, we're trying to present a coordinated effort to continue the movement towards a coherent and a predictable system for students, as well as our families. And these are our commitments. More coherence and a consistent experience for students across pre-K through 12, equitable access to advanced coursework with additional pathways, and creating enduring support structures so that we can sustain high quality instruction pre-K through 12. And, you know, that's the work. We're going to continue to look ahead, do the work we've been doing, and, you know, move forward. And we certainly appreciate the support of the committee as well as the board. I want to thank Ms. Diaz, Dr. Borsella, Ms. Javlin, Mr. Arini, as well as Dr. Weinstein for being part of this presentation. That's it.
Thank you very much. I love all curriculum's the best, but the forward thinking and the real deep analysis of what our students need and how we get there is really exciting to see, so I appreciate that. I normally pass off to my colleagues here. I'm going to start with a couple of clarifying questions in case I'm not understanding something. Forgive me if it was expressed and I'm just not following it. First, your description of the high school coach or the secondary coach
Yes.
being an FTE, a teaching position. Am I getting that?
It would be teaching responsibilities.
They would
Okay.
carry a roster.
It means they would have .4 teaching and then
0.6 really said.
Okay, so is that, are you describing the elementary coaches as FTE
No,
as
those,
well?
at the elementary level, those would just be 1.0, no student responsibilities, no student load. They would be there for the teachers, they would push in to help support the tier 2 implementation at times, but they wouldn't carry a roster. Whereas at the secondary level, there would be a roster, 2 classes typically.
Okay, so I didn't understand you, so I'm glad I asked that. Okay.
what's the teaching load of the current chair people?
2 classes.
Yeah,
Is that the point?
a point 4, yeah.
Okay.
The high school chair.
The middle school chair carries a full load.
So my next question is, the ideas of enhancements for our students sound really wonderful. In this plan, every year we hear about new recommended courses. Are we talking about looking at the data and removing courses as well? Is it gonna be an even swap? How does that
So
work?
Dr. Weinstein did mention that there are some courses being eliminated in
I'm
the
sorry, I missed that
technology.
too.
That's okay, we didn't want to emphasize that,
Oh, I know.
the enhancements, so
Slide.
those won't be in the program. And quite frankly, it could be that, these courses, they will run if there's an enrollment, right? So pending student enrollment, we've offered courses in the past, we've presented courses in the past that didn't run because we didn't have sufficient student enrollment during registration. Enrollment's gonna take place in a few months, so we'll have a sense.
So, as a board member, the question, I think one of the questions becomes, are there budget implications for these recommended group courses, or is it
So
unclear?
for a lot of these, it's, this course over another, by and large. I think if there are budget implications, I'd be interested, especially in our new AP seminar course. So that's not gonna replace an English or whatever, but it may replace a free period that students have.
Right,
So there may be, that's why it's important for us, we've pushed the scheduling timeline forward, so we have those numbers ahead of time and we'll get a sense. Would it be horrible if we see that, holy cow, we have so many students who signed up for this new course that we might need to request an additional FTE? They're the worst problems to have.
Might not have the money for it.
We may not, but we shall see, right? It may be they take that instead of another course, so we just don't know.
okay. And my last comment/question. I have 5 more, but I'm gonna share nicely. I appreciate all of the work that went into looking at the math pathways, both at Weber and at Schreiber, and removing of gates, and really trying to make sure that we catch as many students as possible. I think that's been a focus of the board for a number of years, so that's amazing. You know where my question's going. What have we done, if anything, to look at advanced coursework in the humanities at Weber?
So we are excited that, ninth graders who would like some advanced humanities coursework, there is an option, right, that AP seminar course. So very excited about that. I think as we continue to look at the Weber program, being able to offer the advanced elective offering in humanities, that's still a priority. We haven't forgotten about it. Maybe that should have been on the slide items for continued discussion, but that's always in the back of our mind in terms of what we can offer. I think there are a few things that are taking place at Weber that may open up some opportunities, so we have not forgotten about that.
We'll be patient.
Thankful for your patience and support.
Okay,
It's like
and
2 decades of patience.
yes,
It's
yeah,
very
that's,
patient.
I wasn't being sarcastic at all. Ms. Gilliard, do you have anything?
But that's because I interjected all along the way. But I will say I really appreciate this, and I think it's fantastic to see like a holistic look, right? Because we've needed this for a long time, a holistic look at what do we want education to look like. And it's very clear from this presentation that a lot of people have spent a lot of time thinking very deeply as opposed to assuming whatever we're doing is fine. And I think opening up new pathways, opening up new opportunities for kids shows an understanding and a desire to serve many different kinds of children. So I see this as serving a ton of them. And the one thing I want to say out loud for the public's benefit too is that there's a lot of staffing recommendations in here, and I think we have, sometimes the voters get very upset about these kind of administrative staffing recommendations, and they say we should be spending our money on the kids. And so I want to say right now out loud, and I think probably the whole committee agrees on it. All right, Sandra, I'll let you decide.
I don't know what you're gonna say, so I can't agree on it yet.
I know that. But like, this kind of staffing is student supportive staffing, right? This is the kind of staffing, not everything that serves students is a teacher in front of the student. It's not a one-room schoolhouse. And these recommendations are very student focused. This is about providing the best education possible for all of the students with all of their differences. So I thank you for it.
Thank you, and I appreciate those words, and I just want to add on a little bit. This is important for all the reasons you stated, but you know, for some of this, the removal of the test for the algebra and the 7 course, the Math 7 course at the middle school. That's a big deal. That's been in place for a long time. Removing that, it's scary for some folks. You know, and I don't say that, it's serious, right? It's what we've been doing this, what's gonna happen, we don't know what's gonna happen. Well, I have my suspicions, but
It's gonna be a math free-for-all.
it is, there are worse things out there, so.
I totally agree.
It's going to be okay, and I think we're gonna get through this, and people will see, oh, okay, things are still standing, and we did get a few more kids. They've been really successful. And I think that will encourage some of the conversations about some of the remaining entrance exams, if you will, that we have. So that first step can be the scariest sometimes, and this is that sort of first step into a different approach to you know, how we're helping our students through these programs.
And I just want to comment on the investment that's really being proposed. You know, the enhancements that we're proposing are designed to give teachers the tools, the programs, and the support that they need to continue to deliver a consistent program. You know, in the fall, we outlined for the board and the community a review of our data, and we reviewed that for both the elementary and secondary level. And a lot of what we saw is a predictable challenge that arises in a district where programs differ from school to school, from classroom to classroom. So part of the investment that we're proposing in terms of instructional coaches and this director of mathematics is a step towards creating a more unified experience for our students. You know, if you remember in the slide that we showed earlier, in some classrooms, you know, kids, 5% of the kids reached their targeted growth. The range was from 5 to 27%. When we implemented the new program, the phonics program, we still saw a variation in one of the classes. We saw, you know, 2 classes where 80% or more of kids made their, reached their targeted growth, but there was another class where 66% of the kids reached their targeted growth. So what kind of tools and support do we have for that class? There could be a lot of reasons why that is happening. And, you know, some of those reasons may be addressed through the addition of providing job-embedded support and coaching to the teacher to help support the students that are in the room. So this builds the sustainability for us to be able to respond to those kinds of challenges in real time, rather than looking at the data from a previous year and saying what happened. You know, that's important to be able to look at the data and say what happened, but it's also important to be able to impact kids that are in the grade at the time. And that's what this infrastructure that we're trying to build will allow us to do. So it is an investment. It's an investment, though, in addressing the issues that we outlined in the data presentation and that have come out through our listening tour, through our conversations with teachers, and through our classroom observations.
So from that, maybe I missed this as well, on page 10, when you say why one coach per building, it leverages in-district talent. What does that mean exactly?
So in other words, you know, we have incredibly talented teachers on our staff. So what our hope is that we find a talented teacher on our staff that's interested in being an instructional coach in each of our buildings. So we would have 5.
Taking from within, you're
That's right.
saying? Okay,
That's
that's what I thought you meant, I just wanted to.
Building our internal capacity. That instructional coach would receive training, would receive support from Juanita and Victoria as well. And then at the secondary level, the director of mathematics would be able to see the whole scope of the curriculum from pre-K through 12. So the
Is that
director of math would
considered
also have a
Are
role
those
in that.
coaches going to be considered administrators
No.
or
No.
educators?
No, they're teachers.
They will be
Well,
considered
administrators are
teachers.
educators, but they're teachers, yeah.
They're teachers, okay. I think that's important, as Rachel was pointing out, because the question will be, why are we moving to such a heavy administrative?
No, there's 6 teaching positions, 1 administrative position.
That's, okay.
And
Okay.
just the in-district talent, keep in mind, they will be us, right? We brought in, last year, we spent a significant amount of money to bring in an outstanding professional developer for iReady, not our employee. She's working with us now, she's not our employee, right? And she's fantastic. These people will be our employees. They'll be with us, they'll be part of the family, working in, so it will literally be in-district talent. And some may come from within, we may hire from outside, right? If we can't find someone who's interested and has the talent to do really both the numeracy and the literacy pieces. We have some who absolutely could, but we will see. So it's not a commitment to, you know, these 5 positions will be hired from within our current population, but we do know that we have teachers who could do it. Whether they want to, we shall see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm only speaking about the elementary instructional coaches as far as my next few questions. But one would be, what other district similar size in Long Island has instructional coaches at the elementary level?
I know your previous district, Dr. Posse, had them.
Yeah.
Similar size.
We can get that data for you. This is,
It's not uncommon at all.
this is not an uncommon model for districts to have, especially in the early years of implementing brand new programs. So for example, in my previous district, we had dedicated literacy coaches when we implemented a new literacy program, and we had dedicated math coaches when we implemented a new math program. Once those programs were in place and the level of training was less intense, they collapsed those into a singular instructional coach position for each building.
So
So that's not an uncommon model.
is it more of a temporary solution, or is this a permanent, you're foreseeing that this is a permanent
Well, the
model structure?
needs always evolve as do our programs. So it's certainly necessary, I think, to give teachers the appropriate level of support when you're implementing a new program, because that ensures that programs are being implemented with fidelity, and it also ensures job-embedded professional development, which, as you know, is the best kind of professional development, rather than relying on outside contractors. Once programs are in place and they're running, then positions start to, needs may start to evolve.
The only reason I ask of like a similar district is because I have yet to find one that has a similar size district in Long Island. The only thing I can find was the city and Rochester, and the city gave up on it due to budget implications. So that this model disbanded in the city because of the high cost. And they went to, instead, a high-cost professional development. So while I understand like what you're saying as far as additional staff, they're your staff, I'm trying to like really understand the effectiveness of this model efficiently with a budget in mind, which we have budget on Monday, and I'll ask my budget questions Monday. But those were the only two that I could really find information on. So I'm just trying to understand like, who else does it? Who else adds this much?
Massapequa has coaches, Farmingdale has coaches.
Those are very big districts.
Yeah. So that was just one question, and I put it in tracker also, so you double see it.
The other thing is, just to respond, just one important thing to respond to is that research does support, though, that job-embedded professional development is the most impactful professional development, because we do send teachers to conferences and workshops, and then they come back and, if you struggle with something, you talk to your colleague, and that's what you do. But to have that resource on staff really is incredibly valuable.
So my next question would be, we know that the reading program will be updated next year, right? So like we know a consistent reading program is coming, it's not in place. 2 years, great, even more. So it's not even here yet, right? So as far as implementation, the inconsistencies, the outcomes, that's not even in place yet. Math only just got in place. And I think with the data conversations, when I asked about like, what are the projections, what are the goals? And you said it's still too early to make those kind of goals with, improving those numbers. Why then now the conversation of the instructional elementary coaches? If one of the issues is implementation and instructional practices and fidelity and the consistency across all 5 buildings, why are we doing the instructional coaches? Why is the recommendation for next year when the program's not in place for the reading? We only just got the 1 or 2 years of math data. Why now?
There's a sustainability aspect, and we want to sustain what we've done in mathematics. The teachers, the feedback we've gotten from the mathematics teachers has been that professional development, that person we've had has been key to the success of the implementation. So for different reasons, right? We had a huge investment last year. We brought it back a little bit as we're working to build capacity. We want that capacity in our own district to support the mathematics at each of the elementary schools. So that's one important aspect. The other aspect, as we saw, although we will not necessarily have a K-5 district-wide program in place it'll be selected next year, implemented the following. The work in literacy, and we've got Dr. Borsella and Ms. Diaz here, has been incredible in terms of the amount of work and the amount of support to provide, even within those programs that are consistent within the building, the supporting the teachers there. So we'll need to continue to provide support even as we navigate the existing K-2 phonics phonemic awareness programs at each of the 5 elementary schools, as well as the programs that we will be piloting next year to be able to support the teachers as they're piloting those programs as well.
There's also more work that still needs to be done in terms of some of the instructional shifts that we're trying to that we're trying to make. One of the things that I had pointed out before is that the flaw of the data presentation as you're responding to data trends for kids that have already gone through courses.
Yep.
One of the changes that we would like to make in terms of assessment fluency for our teacher staff is to be able to respond to student needs in real time. So in other words, I would like to be able to tell you right now which classrooms and which students are struggling using reliable data sources, and then be able to develop a plan to support those students and the teacher in real time, so that we're not responding after the fact or relying on only responding after the fact. But there needs to be an infrastructure to be able to do that, right? Our elementary schools do not have assistant principals. Our elementary schools have one administrator that is running the entire building and all of the things that happen within that building. They're doing a great job of being instructional leaders, but they could use additional support to be able to hold grade level meetings, to be able to work collaboratively, hand in glove with a teacher. When, let's say, a teacher has a group of students who are below grade level and needs additional support in how to remediate that group of students, an instructional coach could go in and model lessons. So being able to have an infrastructure in place that allows us to impact students in real time and impact teachers in real time, rather than doing a post-mortem on how did the year go by looking at our data, is one of the things that we're trying to build. We're not there yet, but we're trying to build that.
And this notion of having another set of eyes, I think one of the reasons why our outside consultant was so successful, she was not an administrator, she was not evaluating any of the teachers, she was supporting them. You know, we are in the midst of not just these the mathematics as well as the literacy shifts, but from an instructional point of view, our focus on small group instruction, tier 1, tier 2 support, it's an enormous lift. And providing additional support beyond what the principal, beyond what these 2 women can provide on a regular daily basis in a sometimes a non-administrative, non-evaluative way is powerful.
Thank you.
So if there is actual direct instruction in this plan with the coaches.
Should they need to model
And
or
modeling is
support?
part of
tier
the-
2 and the push-in and things like that.
Right, they wouldn't carry that on their roster, but they could support. And what that does, their support, I should add, actually helps with our current math AIS teachers who are trying to provide this sort of professional support, who are providing that current support for the teachers, but also trying to carrying a load with students, so they're getting torn in both ends. So if we take that teacher support load away from our math AIS teachers, put it on this one person, they actually get freed up to focus in on students as well, especially those tier 3 students.
We're going to move to community members who are also here. I apologize. It's always a fun 2 hours here. That's just how it goes. Go ahead.
Awesome. For the 5th grade departmentalization, Are all the elementary schools using the same approach and time frame? And if they're, yeah, I had a feeling it's not, and if they're not, could we use the data and the feedback from either the principals or what happens at Weber to see which approach would be best moving forward?
Yeah, I think, last year was the first year where all fifth graders did. And I think that the experiences, based on my conversations with the principals, that they have will inform how they do it this year, whether they continue the same way or they make some adjustments. And that, I think, that would be an interesting study to get feedback early on in the sixth grade, a month or two in, to see if that was helpful and it somehow measure if one was a better model than others.
Yeah, it seems like one of the few things that doesn't need to be specific per elementary
Yeah,
school.
yeah. That's a good point.
Thank you. Jess?
I just actually have a very quick clarifying question. Thank you. This was like really interesting and exciting to hear. Ms. Weinstein, the advanced podcasting class, it said it was an elective for grade 11, not 12 as well?
It can be,
Okay.
But you typically, if a student is interested in that communication media arts, they might take podcasting 1 and 2 in 9th grade.
Right.
10th grade would be the sports broadcasting class. This is that 11th grade elective in that pathway as we're projecting for the pathways in the different areas. So it can be beyond just that 11th
So
grade.
because if you didn't start podcasting until 10th grade, then you would still be able
Right.
to, you wouldn't be precluded, in other words, from taking advanced podcasting
Correct, and
in 12th grade.
typically, a lot of our seniors might take the Schreiber News Network elective because that's a senior experience
I see.
course.
So
that's why
another
this is
option. So this is more geared towards 11th grade.
correct, because we had students who just wanted to take, sports broadcasting multiple years in a row because they just loved that course. So there was a need for an additional opportunity.
Liz?
So I just want to say thank you so much for this. There's so many wonderful things in here, and as somebody who has been beating the drum around both the expanded math pathways and the opportunities for research and acceleration in the humanities, we really appreciate this. And I know based on my phone blowing up that people that are not in this room but are watching also feel seen and heard, so thank you, really, really great. I have 2 questions, one related to the high school and one related to the middle school. So for the AP research seminar, not research, that is an AP course that freshmen can take, correct?
Correct.
Right. So have we or can we consider for our travel team travel team research program, our 10th graders still don't get the weighted bump, an honors or an AP credit for that. And I'm wondering whether we can consider giving that to the 10th grade research students if the 9th graders are gonna get the AP credit for this course.
I love that list, get your list. So
Sorry.
that, as we are still looking to look at our research altogether, I think that's got to be a discussion topic. That's not part of the new course presentation, but we know that's on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then as it relates to the middle school, I was wondering, since you're eliminating the acceleration test, how will double skip students be identified?
That was on one of the first slides, that we're still looking into that.
Oh, you're still looking into that, okay,
Yeah,
great.
this was for single acceleration, eliminating the exam was for single acceleration.
Okay, so you may still, okay, gotcha. And then just to comment on that, so I think the changes for Math 7, 8 are great, and I think people will really appreciate them. My only comment about it is that 6th grade math is still somewhat easy for like a large cohort of kids, and there are certain teachers, and I'm not sure, I don't know from based on my experience in Yellow House, that will provide opportunities for enrichment and acceleration. And I know there has been hope among the parent community that that could be offered, going back to the sort of question of making the houses consistent and the opportunities for extra math consistent in 6th grade.
Ongoing discussion, thank you.
Cool, thanks.
George?
Thank you. It's kind of bittersweet, sitting here, and after how many years, 13, 14, 15 years of advocating for this, having the directors. It's gratifying, although, we are at the end, but we won't fade away. To see that the Board of Education administrators are looking at directors to really increase and enhance instruction and everything in this district. I would ask the Board of Education, the Superintendent, Dr. Passy, and all the administrators consider bringing in the Director of Mathematics, but really making it into mathematics and science, because those two areas are convergent. You can't do physics without math or calculus. If you don't know that well, physics is shot. And that applies to chemistry and the other sciences. So yes, bringing a director that has a good foundation in mathematics, but can also do the directing. And that would be a money-saving strategy. Some districts have 4. And I would also say that in terms of the humanities, social studies and English, you really cannot become a very good student without being able to read, write, and critically analyze writing, literature. You can't. So you consider bringing in a director that is in charge of K through 12, English, and social studies, because the two of them intermingle. It's not like, we are studying history in Arabic, right? Or you're studying the other in a different area. You would have 2 directors, K through 12, and it would begin, late for me personally, but it would begin a structure that might bring tremendous recognition to this district. And I'm telling you, I could go on telling you the research that we have done as to what makes the schools successful and distinguishable. Take that into consideration. I know that there are some in this community that are penny wise and pound foolish. I don't want to spend money, all these directors, all these administrators. You are saving money and in the end spending more money. You need to consolidate, have those directors, have actual instruction and supervision, people who are not in teachers. And I'm just gonna say that's, I'm glad.
Thank you for that recommendation.
I think it would, and it would not be expensive if you bring those 2 people.
One more question?
Sorry, so one more quick question. So it was my understanding at the high school level that there kind of was a wholesale prohibition against 9th graders taking AP classes. With the introduction of the AP seminar option, will that kind of be lifted so that 9th graders, if appropriate, can take other AP classes either on an individual or a more generalized basis?
So at this time, the only adjustment for 9th graders in an AP has been for this course. So we'll see what it looks like, how that, how many students are interested. We're very interested in seeing what the enrollment report might look like, and make any assessments regarding other courses after that.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for all of this. There's a lot to look forward to for our students in our district. I would like to remind everyone that our January meeting is the 16th at 10 a.m. We will be discussing acceleration and enrichment. And I wish everyone watching and everyone in this room happy holidays. Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing everyone next year.
Happy everything.